I sat alone at a long oak table, scarred by the passage of untold years, a single tome resting before me. The leather cover was cracked and worn, its spine creaking faintly as if alive. I traced my fingers along its surface, feeling the roughness, the cold that seeped into my skin, and I hesitated. A whisper slipped through the stillness, barely audible, an echo of a warning I had been too afraid to heed until now. Each book I opened was more than a gateway to dreams and forgotten worlds. It was a thief, silently stealing the currency of my existence. A year, one whole year of my life, drained away with every page I dared to turn. This truth settled upon me like a shroud, suffocating and immutable. I could no longer deny the cost that had been paid in the silent hours I spent wandering these endless stacks. I was trapped in a bargain I had not fully understood, with stakes far higher than the sanctuary I sought. I closed my eyes, breathing deeply, trying to still the storm of fear and sorrow that welled inside me. The library around me seemed to pulse, alive with a quiet, knowing breath. It was as if the very building was watching, waiting to see if I would break or bend beneath its weight. Liora, the voice was soft, ethereal, carrying a warmth that cut through the chill. I opened my eyes to find Eleanor's shimmering pale blue form standing across the table, her translucent robes flowing like a gentle tide. Her eyes held centuries of wisdom and an unspoken sadness. "You feel it now, don't you? The price we all pay," she said, her tone both gentle and grave. I nodded, unable to speak. Words felt too fragile to carry the weight of what I had just realized. "The magic here is not without sacrifice," Eleanor continued. "Every soul bound within these pages has given something in time, in life, in hope. The library demands balance, and it takes what it must to survive." I swallowed hard, the taste of dust and old ink thick on my tongue. "But how do you endure it? How do you keep going when every moment costs you?" Her gaze softened, and she reached out, her hand passing through mine like a sigh. "We remember what we fight for, and sometimes what we are willing to lose." Before I could respond, the sharp sound of footsteps echoed down the aisle. Tamsin appeared, her dark curls, wild eyes blazing with restless fire. "Enough with the pity party," she snapped, crossing her arms fiercely. "You think I haven't felt the years slip from my grasp? We're all prisoners here, Liora, not saints. But waiting to lose yourself won't save you." Her words stung, but they carried a truth I couldn't ignore. I had been so consumed by fear of loss that I had forgotten the reason I had come here at all, to find refuge, to find understanding, to survive. "Then what do we do?" I asked, voice barely above a whisper. "We fight. We learn the rules, and we bend them." The challenge in her eyes was fierce and unrelenting. I wanted to believe her, but doubt gnawed at the edges of my resolve. As if summoned by the tension, a soft rustle stirred the shadows nearby. From the dimmest corner emerged the whispering archivist, a figure cloaked in darkness, his presence both unsettling and oddly comforting. His voice was a low murmur, carrying riddles and warnings. "Preserve what you can, but beware the cost of preservation," he intoned. "The library's heart beats on sacrifice, but even sacrifice can be tempered by cunning. Seek the threads unseen, the loopholes between bindings. Time is both your enemy and your ally." I blinked, trying to catch the meaning behind his cryptic words. The library was a puzzle wrapped in enchantment. Every answer seemed to lead to more questions, deeper mysteries. That night, as I lay beneath the ancient rafters, the weight of the year I had lost pressed heavily on my chest. Yet beneath the sorrow, a flicker of determination sparked. I would not let the library consume me. I would find a way to hold on to the precious years still left to me, even if it meant venturing further into the dream realm's tangled secrets. The cost was steep, the price was real, but the sanctuary I had found was worth the fight. And so I turned the page. The air shifted, the world around me blurring as the magic stirred. Each word I read whispered promises and warnings, pulling me deeper into the labyrinth of dreams and sacrifice. The library waited patiently, its breath steady, its eyes watching as I stepped further into the unknown. This was no longer a refuge simply to hide in, it was a battlefield, and I was ready to fight. But as the shadows lengthened and the clock of my life ticked away, I couldn't shake the question that gnawed at my heart. How much more could I lose before there was nothing left of me at all? The library's silence answered only with the soft rustling of pages turning in the dark. Liora stepped cautiously over the worn stone threshold, the air thick with the scent of faded ink and dust, the smell of forgotten worlds and whispered memories. It was here, in this hushed corner, that the shimmer began to coalesce into a form both fragile and luminous. Eleanor emerged, her presence ethereal, pale blue light flowing like water around her translucent robes. Her eyes held the weight of centuries, gentle yet infinitely sad. "You came," Eleanor whispered, her voice a soft ripple in the stillness. "Few do, and fewer still with the courage to stay." Liora swallowed hard, the truth of Eleanor's existence settling over her like a delicate veil. "I need to understand," she said quietly. "Why are you trapped here? What is this place?" Eleanor's gaze drifted to the spines of books that surrounded them, each one a prison and a cradle for a dreaming soul. "Long ago, I was a scholar, much like yourself, eager for knowledge and the mysteries of this world. But the library is no ordinary sanctuary. It binds those who seek refuge within its walls, preserving us in dreams, suspended between life and oblivion." As she spoke, the books around them seemed to breathe. Pages fluttered as if stirred by a silent wind, words shifting and reforming a dance of arcane script and shifting meaning. Eleanor's story unfolded like the fragile tendrils of a dream, each word painting a picture of sacrifice and longing. The magic that holds us here is both a blessing and a curse. It offers sanctuary to those who are lost, but it demands a price. A year of life for each page turned, a lifetime for each secret uncovered. Liora felt the weight of those words settle deep within her chest. It was the cost she had glimpsed before, now made real by Eleanor's quiet confession. "And you? How did you come to be trapped?" Eleanor's form flickered, a ghost of a smile touching her lips. "I sought to unravel the library's deepest secrets, hoping to find a way to free us all. But ambition and hope are a dangerous mix here. I found binding spells woven into the very fabric of the books, stronger than any chain. My consciousness became entwined with the pages I studied, and now I am part of the library's story, unable to escape the bindings I sought to break." The room seemed to pulse with the collective sorrow of trapped souls. Liora's fingers brushed against the nearest tome, its leather cracked and worn, the whispers of the dreaming soul within faint but persistent. "Is there no hope for you?" "Hope endures," Eleanor replied, her voice steady despite the melancholy. "It is what sustains us. Though I am bound, I retain fragments of awareness, enough to guide those who come after me." Liora's gaze sharpened with newfound determination. "Then I will listen, and I will fight for freedom for you, for Tamsin, and for all the souls caught in this web." Eleanor's form brightened for a moment, the pale blue glow bathing the alcove in a soft radiance. "Remember this, knowledge without compassion is a cage, To break the bindings, you must understand not only the magic, but the hearts entwined within it. The mentor's words settled like a bomb, seeping into Liora's resolve. As Eleanor's form began to fade, the alcove returned to its quiet stillness. Yet its silence now thrummed with possibility. Alone but no longer uncertain, Liora stepped forward, carrying the weight of Eleanor's story and the fragile hope it kindled. The path ahead was perilous, but she would not walk it alone. Outside the alcove, the library awaited its endless shelves, a maze of dreams and dangers. With Eleanor's wisdom echoing in her mind, Liora felt the stirrings of courage swell within her, a quiet fire against the creeping shadows. The journey to unravel the library's secrets and to free the dreaming souls was only beginning. And with every step, she drew closer to the heart of the sleeping library's enigma. But the cost a relentless toll of years slipping away, ever near, a reminder that some sacrifices could never be undone. Still, Liora's breath steadied, and her eyes, dark and intense, gleamed with the fierce light of one determined to face whatever dreams and nightmares the library held. The whispered promise of sanctuary had transformed into a solemn vow to guard, to fight, and perhaps to save. The shadows shifted softly as Liora turned from the alcove, her steps echoing through the vaulted halls. Somewhere deep within the stacks, a faint rustle of pages seemed to sing in answer, a lullaby of hope and sorrow intertwined, waiting to be heard. I sat cross-legged on the cold stone floor, the worn spines of countless books towering above like silent sentinels, their whispers barely audible. Across from me, Tamsin's restless figure shifted, her dark curls falling messily over her intense eyes that flickered with both pain and fire. It was the first time she had spoken so openly about her past, and the weight of her words pressed against the stillness. "You don't understand," she said, voice low but fierce. "This place, it's not sanctuary, it's a cage. They trapped me here decades ago, and every day I spend locked inside a book is a day stolen from my life, from my freedom." Her words struck me like a sudden chill. I had known the cost of the library's magic, the cruel toll it demanded with every page I turned. But hearing it laid bare in her voice made it real in a new way. Tamsin's bitterness was a mirror of the fear I buried deep inside myself, the fear of losing myself entirely to this place. "I'm sorry," I whispered, unsure if apology was enough. "I didn't mean to." "Don't." She cut me off, her eyes flashing. "You don't have to be sorry, but you have to stop pretending this is some kind of refuge. It's a trap, and if we don't fight back, we'll never get out." Her defiance was contagious, stirring something in me that I hadn't felt since I first stumbled into the library. A spark of rebellion, of hope, but it was tempered by caution, a quiet voice that warned me of the price we would pay. Tamsin's story unfolded like a shattered mosaic as she led me through a dream realm. A shifting landscape of floating pages and ink-streaked skies where memories seeped from the very fabric of the air. I saw fragments of her past, moments of laughter cut short by betrayal, the cold grip of the Curator's magic binding her to the endless shelves, the slow erosion of years marked only by the fading light in her eyes. "I was like you once," she said, her voice barely audible over the whispering winds of the dreamscape. "Quiet, careful, hoping to survive. But survival isn't enough. We need to break these chains." The words settled in my heart, heavy yet burning with urgency. I wanted to believe, to embrace the boldness that Tamsin exuded so naturally, but a part of me hesitated. The library's enchantment was seductive, a fragile promise of safety that I feared losing. Back in the physical space of the library, the contrast was stark. The cold silence felt heavier now, the shadows of the towering stacks pressing close. I traced my fingers along the cracked leather spine of an ancient tome, feeling the pulse of the dreaming soul trapped within. Their quiet suffering echoed Tamsin's anger, binding us all in a tapestry of sacrifice and longing. "What will we do?" I finally asked, voice barely above a whisper. Tamsin's eyes met mine, fierce and unwavering. "We fight together. We find the cracks in the bindings and tear them wide open. No more waiting, no more fear." Her words were a challenge and a promise. In that moment, I knew that my journey could no longer be one of mere survival. It was time to face the darkness that held us captive, to risk everything for the chance at freedom. As we stood side by side beneath the towering shelves, our shadows stretching long and merging, I felt the fragile threads of our alliance tighten. The library's silence seemed to hold its breath, as if sensing the storm to come. And deep within me, a quiet resolve took root, the resolve to confront the Curator, to unravel the curse, and to reclaim the stolen years for all of us. The path ahead was uncertain and fraught with peril, but for the first time since arriving, I felt something like hope. Not the fleeting kind that slips away in the dark, but a steady flame, fueled by defiance and the shared strength of those who refuse to be forgotten. The library was awakening, and so were we. The candle flickered, casting trembling shadows that danced along the cracked walls of the alcove. Tamsin's voice softened, the fire in her eyes giving way to a quiet vulnerability. "I don't know if I'll ever be free," she admitted, "but I can't keep living like this, trapped, fading away. If we don't try, what's the point?" I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. "Then we try, for all of us." The air between us was thick with unspoken fears and fragile hopes. Outside, the library's labyrinthine corridors stretched endlessly, waiting to reveal their secrets. Somewhere in the shadows, the Curator's watchful eyes lingered, his presence a relentless reminder of the stakes. But for now, in this quiet corner of forgotten knowledge, two souls bound by pain and courage forged a pact. Together, we would challenge the bindings, confront the darkness, and fight for a future where the library's magic was no longer a curse, but a sanctuary. And so, the reckoning began. I had been drawn here by a strange compulsion, a quiet insistence that the answers to the weight pressing on my chest lay buried in the forgotten chambers. The walls, lined with books whose leather spines were cracked and faded with age, seemed to lean in closer as I passed, as though the library itself was holding its breath. In the center of the room, beneath a dome of glass dusted with the residue of centuries, lay a pedestal bearing a single tome unlike any I had encountered before. Its cover was stitched from dark, supple leather and embossed with symbols that seemed to shift under the wavering candlelight. As I reached out, a cold shiver ran down my spine, but curiosity, as always, outweighed caution. The moment my fingers brushed the cover, the room dissolved into a swirl of shadows and light, and I found myself standing before a visionary spectral projection that played out like a silent film in the air before me. It was the story of a man, the Curator, but not as the imposing figure I had glimpsed lurking in the corridors. This was a younger version, his features sharp but full of hope, his eyes bright with unspent dreams. He was a scholar, like the many I had read about in the library's whispered histories. His hands trembled as he pored over forbidden texts, his mind hungry for knowledge that promised the impossible, immortality. I could see the feverish nights, the slow unraveling of his soul, the moment when the pursuit of eternal life became a cage, binding him as surely as the magic that held the dreaming souls captive. Before I could blink, Eleanor materialized beside me, her pale blue form shimmering softly like moonlight on water. Her voice was a gentle murmur, barely more than a breath, yet it carried the weight of ages. "He was once like you, Liora, a seeker of refuge, a traveler in search of meaning." The curator's heart was not always shadowed, but ambition, unchecked and desperate, can consume even the brightest of flames. Her words wrapped around me, filling the space between the flickering images. The spectral scene shifted, revealing the transformation, the scholar's face contorted by obsession, the robes darkening as if woven from the library's very shadows, his eyes glowing faintly like embers, burning with a hunger that no mortal could satisfy. The library itself seemed to pulse in response, the air tightening as if it were a living thing, bound to the curator's fate. I felt an ache settle deep within me, a sorrow for the man he had been and a fear for what he had become. "Is there no hope for him?" I whispered, my voice trembling. Eleanor's gaze was steady, her expression mournful. The threads of his humanity remain tangled within the bindings, but they are fragile. The curse that holds him is as much a prison of his own making as it is the library's enchantment. I stepped back, the vision fading like the last embers of a dying fire. The revelation left me reeling. The curator was not simply a villain to be vanquished. He was a cautionary tale, incarnate warning, etched into the very fabric of this place. His story complicated the path ahead, transforming my mission from a simple battle against darkness into a reckoning with loss, obsession, and the perilous thirst for knowledge. As I turned toward the exit, my thoughts churned. How many others had fallen victim to the seduction of power here? How many souls had been ensnared, not by malice, but by the desperate hope to escape the frailty of life? I knew the confrontation with the curator was inevitable, but now, armed with the truth of his past, I felt the weight of empathy cloud my resolve. Could I fight a man who was, in some sense, still trapped within himself? Could I break the bindings without breaking what little humanity remained? The library around me breathed softly, its ancient heart beating in time with my own. I clenched my fists, determination slowly knitting itself from the threads of sorrow. The curator's tale was no longer just his, it was mine, and the story of every soul bound within these walls. The path forward would demand everything I had, and more. I stepped out of the chamber, the shadows whispering secrets I was only beginning to understand. The sleeping library was waking, and so was I. I had come to understand that the library was not just a building, but a living labyrinth of dreams and memories, and somewhere within it, the curators were manifested in forms both terrifying and inscrutable. Tonight, I faced those forms, the dream guardians. They emerged from the swirling mists like phantoms born of smoke and embers. Their shapes were ever shifting, each movement dissolving into darkness, only to reappear moments later with a serpentine grace. Their eyes glowed faintly, like dying coals, watching me with cold, unblinking vigilance. I could feel their presence before I saw them, a quiet pressure that squeezed my chest and made the air vibrate with silent menace. "You cannot escape," a voice whispered, not from a mouth, but from the very shadows around me. "The curator's will is absolute." I swallowed hard, my fingers tightening around the spine of the book I had brought with me, a talisman against the void. But I knew brute force would not save me here. The guardians were not mere monsters to be fought. They were extensions of the library's magic, bound to enforce the bindings that kept the dreaming souls captive. The first guardian lunged, a blur of dark smoke coalescing into a form with clawed hands and a face that flickered between human and something less definable. I ducked behind a column of shifting light, my breath ragged. The corridors around me twisted and turned in impossible ways, walls rippling like liquid, doors appearing and vanishing without warning. The dreamscape was a maze designed to disorient and trap. I ran. Every step was a gamble, every heartbeat a prayer. The guardians whispered my name, their voices like the rustling of dead leaves. Panic surged, but beneath it, a fierce determination took root. I could not let myself become another lost soul, another book bound forever in silence. In the midst of the chaos, a soft glow appeared beside me. Eleanor, shimmering in her pale blue robes, her form translucent but unmistakably real. "Remember," she said, her voice a soothing balm, "they are bound by more than magic. Their essence is tied to emotion, fear, regret, longing. Find the thread that unravels their bindings." I nodded, though the meaning was still cloudy. But there was no time for doubt. A guardian's shadow reached out, tendrils curling like smoke around my ankle. Instead of pulling away, I steadied myself and met its gaze. "Why do you imprison them?" I asked aloud, voice trembling but steady. The shadow hesitated, flickering uncertainly. For a moment, the ember eyes softened, and in that instant, I glimpsed something fragile, remnants of a soul yearning for release. Drawing on that moment of vulnerability, I reached out with empathy, the kind I had buried deep inside myself after years of running and hiding. The shadow recoiled, the claws retracting, as if uncertain what to do with this unexpected kindness. "You are not the Curator," I whispered. "You do not have to be his chains." The guardian's form wavered, then slowly dissolved into a mist that drifted away, leaving behind a faint warmth that spread through the dreamscape like dawn's first light. This was the turning point. The dream guardians were not invincible. They were bound by the very emotions that had once made them human, trapped by the Curator's curse, but not beyond hope. With each encounter, I learned more, just about the guardians, but about myself. The library's magic was a cage, yes, but it was also a mirror, reflecting the fears and hope of all who dwelled within it. As I pressed deeper into the labyrinth, the shadows seemed less suffocating. The Curator's grip was still strong, his presence a dark pulse beneath everything. But I was no longer just a frightened girl fleeing her past. I was becoming something else, a guardian in my own right, armed not with spells or swords, but with empathy, intellect, and an unyielding will to reclaim freedom for the dreaming souls. The dream realms shifted around me, vast and strange, but for the first time, I felt that I might navigate them and, maybe, just maybe, change them. But the Curator would not let go without a fight. His guardians would grow stronger, more cunning. And the cost of this knowledge was still written in the fading years of my own life. The chase was far from over, and I was ready,